Hello YouTube, this is Omagent here, and I'm bringing you another episode of Wargame Archives. Today we'll be looking at the vehicles and the helicopters of NATO. Right, so let's start off with the vehicles. Anyway, okay, so here we have the AML-60 French mortar carrier. Not really sure what this is doing in vehicles, but there you go. So it's probably similar to the US mortar and support. It's got a interesting little variation here. So it's quite fast. Although its operational range isn't that good, the mortar itself doesn't seem to be that good at all. It's got a small range, but you know, like I said, with the support category, the fact that don't take the accuracy as low as being bad, because with the low range, you know, there's not a lot of room for error. It's got a main gun as well. That's quite an unusual feature. So this seems to be quite a fast, a sort of hit and run artillery vehicle. And then if you pay 5 less, you lose the artillery gun, and you basically get a keep gun. That seems to do more damage than the base version. Yep. So that's quite an interesting vehicle. A sort of keep gun for 15, and then a sort of keep gun with a mortar strapped to the back for an extra 5. Okay. So then we've got the sort of infantry fighting vehicles on their own. So this is the French sort of BMP variant, I'd say, or not variant, just rival. So it's got the deadly F1 autocannon. This is something I might be talking about a bit in the future. This is one of the best autocannons in the game, and the French strap it to a lot of their stuff, so always be wary of this. It doesn't have that much ammunition, but it's yeah, this is just a sort of keep thing. You know, it's got the autocannon, which is good. It's a good all-rounder. Doesn't have that much armor, and it's not that fast though for French standards, especially. But yeah, it's only 20, so it's keep. Then we've got a tank destroyer. This is probably a sort of variant of this thing with the Milan F1 80GM. Not that accurate, but pretty powerful, and it's got a lot of missiles in it. Probably nothing. So yeah, you're paying an extra 20 for this Milan to be attached to it, and then an extra 5 for guessed an 80GM, but it's the hot variant, which is more accurate and does a lot more damage. So it's a sort of 80GM only tank destroyer rather than this. Any speed differences? Nope. Okay, so basically you've got this, which is an autocannon. You pay 20 extra for this, and you get a basic 80GM, and then you pay an extra 5, and you get a really good 80GM, but you lose the autocannon. So quite a bit of variation there. Then we got the British tank destroyer. So this is another 80GM. It's faster than the AMX-10Ps. The range, it's got a better range, but it only has an 80GM. It's got 10 missiles, so it's quite good. Probably not as good as the French. You know, they carry sort of 16 and 12. So it's got fewer missiles, but it does a lot of damage at 13, and its range is okay. It's 2,600 meters, not the best. Yeah, so this is actually quite a good unit, because although it's the accuracy isn't as good as the French kind of ones. It's 4, but they've got sort of 5 and 7. It's 30, so this is a pretty keep tank destroyer. It's probably harder to get a bigger punch of 13 than for anything less. I'd probably recommend vetting this unit just to make sure to compensate for its accuracy, but that's a quite good vehicle. Then you got the British Spartan APC, the general purpose machine gun. A lot of ammunition in it. It's not bad accuracy. It's quite fast as well. I'm fairly well armored for something like this. Yeah, this is a sort of machine gun that's very fast. I'd probably use this to sort of pick up infantry that have been stranded without their own APCs that they spawned with. We've got the Radin. It's got the British autocannon on top of the machine gun, but it's slower. I wouldn't recommend this. It's got an autocannon, and although an autocannon at 15 is quite good for a sort of keep helicopter defense that can also... No, it can't pick up infantry, but... No, I wouldn't recommend this. Then we got this, which looks like a version of... Okay, so this is a 5 APC, I'm guessing. Yep, so it's 5, fairly fast at 70, and it's got a World War II era Browning on it, but it's got a lot of ammunition, 8,000, so I'd probably go for the Spartan. Basically, this seems to be... I'd recommend this as a sort of, if you want to pick an infantry up, but you can't be bothered to spend 10 picking them up, so you spend a bit less, and so it's slower, but it gets the... So it takes longer to do it, but it's cheaper. So we've got the M11-3, so you've got the standard American Browning on it, very slow. I probably wouldn't recommend this for anything. I mean, yeah, it's 5, but it's not going anywhere, and even if it did get there, it'd probably be killed in half a second. Bit of an upgrade, gets a bit of a speed increase, and then an even bigger speed increase. But it's got armor as well. Fully armored and 65 isn't that bad for a 15 vehicle. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend any of this stuff. If you want to, for the job of picking infantry up, I'd probably go for the Spartan. Although if you want to spam lots of machine guns, this could be an interesting choice. No doubt about it. Then we've got this as a tank destroyer. So we start off with this recoilless rifle at 10. Same kind of speed issues. I wouldn't go for this really. Recoilless rifles don't do that much damage. I mean, well, actually, this does 7, but the thing is, it's going up against tanks that almost certainly will have the same kind of range as it. Its accuracy is 2, so it's not going to struggle to hit anything unless you vet it. No, this is probably going to get annihilated. At 35, you get the basic tow. Covered this before when I was doing the Bradley Recon, so it's a decent AD game. It's also got good speed, but it's quite fragile. And then for 55, you get the ITO and armor all round. So yeah, this is a decent tank destroyer family because you've got this if you're really desperate and you just need a gun. You've got this as a sort of basic tank destroyer, and then you've got this as a super duper tank destroyer. So that's not a bad family. Then they've got the German APC. It looks like it's the same as this one. Let's just check. Oh, that's that is very interesting. So this, it's only got an MG3, so it's got a worse gun, but it's slightly faster and it costs the same. And I wouldn't bother with that hand, but still, 50 isn't fast enough to justify it. If you want to spam it, you know, the MG3 is quite a good spam weapon because it's got a decent amount of ammo and it's got a very fast rate of fire, so you can suppress it quite quickly, and it's accurate, so it'll definitely be hitting them. Then we've got the flamethrower vehicle, the Zippo, NATO's only flamethrower unit. You know, it's the standard flamethrower that we saw from Warsaw Pact units at 1,000 meters. Enough ammunition to keep the fire burning all through the winter, but it has the sort of speed issues and armor issues of the other ones. Overall, I wouldn't use this in any way. It's just flamethrowers aren't good anymore because they're no longer classed as sort of artillery, so they sort of need direct line of sight to fire, and that takes away their advantage. So no, wouldn't use those. Let's see. So we got some 80 gem keeps. This is the sort of the bind for your buck method. So this is the 80 gem that costs 35 on the M113. And the ITO, which costs 55 on the M113, 30. So this is basically an 80 gem strapped to a keep. Speed 65. That's, you know, it's average, not that good. NATO tanks would probably run away from it. And remember, this is a keep, so this is gonna die pretty quickly. So it's good for an ambush unit because these 80 gem are pretty accurate and pretty damaging. So this is a great ambush unit. But the trouble is that if they spot it and fire artillery at it, it's going to die super quickly. So don't go, come complaining if it dies. Then we've got the M2 Bradley. This is probably the non-recon variant. Bad optics, not actually poor. But yeah, so that's probably the same as the recon version. It costs about 25 less. So you're paying 25 more for the recon version of it. Same kind of thing as the other Bradley. You've got the lovely Bushmaster autocannon and then the TOW and the ITO upgrade. Apart from that, peas in a pod. So you've got the French anti-tank team, coilless rifle. Again, I've already just talked about that. And then the Milan 80 GM. Now that's in it's 10, which is you'd expect, because if you go to the, where's the College rifle in this one. So if you compare the two, looks like they're pretty much the same to me. Actually, no, the French one is better actually. They cost the same, but the French one's got a better range and is faster. But the American one carries more ammunition and is armoured. It's an interesting one for that. Then you get the Milan, which is sort of basic 80 km. It does a lot of damage at 12, so it's a pretty powerful punch. Its accuracy isn't that good though, and it doesn't have a lot of ammunition, and it's quite weak as well. Although it is only 15, so you could get a lot. You know, that's a pretty good bang for your buck for, 15. It's probably like half the price of this. I'd probably go for this over the ITO stuff, because when you've got, when you're packing that kind of firepower, you want to make sure it's going to survive an attack. Let's see, now we're going to German. Some infantry fighting vehicles here, it looks like. Cheers. Okay, something happened there. I'm just going to stop the recording just to make sure Fraps didn't cut out. Okay, and we're back. Guess not taking any chances with Fraps at the moment. Okay, so we got the infantry fighting vehicle of West Germany. Quite fast and quite well armored actually, for although it is 25, and it's got the autocannon, the RH-202. This is a Nazi autocannon. This is actually quite a good vehicle for ambushing helicopters. Let's see, upgrade it, you get a Milan F1 80km, upgrade it again, get a boost in accuracy of your gun, and it goes faster. Also, it's got a better stabilizer, so it's good for pursuing, better for pursuing stuff. And then you get a better 80km and more armor, but slower. So yeah, this is a sort of basic fighting unit that you could spam around the place. Quite good in the current version of the game, because it's got the F2 80km at 15, but it's not that fast. So yeah, the Marder seems to be a good one. Then the Marder VTSI. This is sort of counterpart for the BTR-70 Zaldo of the Warsaw Pact. It's 20, so it's keep. It's got a main gun that does a good it might not look that impressive, but it can definitely do some damage. Its ammunition is not good, and it's fast. One thing to note, it doesn't have a stabilizer, so don't think it can just drive around shooting stuff. Stop it if you want to kill stuff. But yeah, for 20, this is quite a good this is basically a gun mounted on something quite fast for 20, so it's it's quite a good vehicle, but just remember, it's a prototype. You won't be able to field a lot of them. So then we got the Raken 10 Jag de Panzer 1. Lovely. At 15, you've got it's not bad actually. It's quite slow, but it's got this SS11 80km that does a good amount of damage, and it's got 10 missiles, so it isn't too bad. It looks a bit weird, but it's got the MG3 as well. Upgrade it, and we get more missiles and a speed boost for an extra 5. That's quite a good deal. I'd probably go for that. Extra 25. We've got a really good 80km, the Hot 1. Good accuracy, better power. Doesn't carry as many missiles though. It's also quite a lot more expensive. And then for an extra 15, the ITO pops up again. Of that family, I'd probably go for this one, just because it's 20, so it's keep, and it might not hit anything, but then when it does, it's going to cause quite a bit of damage. It's got enough missiles to be able to get hit. Just make sure it survives long enough. Then we got the Fuchs. This is actually a pretty good vehicle. It actually has 105 km/h speed, which is pretty impressive, and a good operational range, so it can go quite far. It's front armored, so it could take a few hits possibly, but I wouldn't count on it. And the disadvantage is that it only has the MG3, which is a good close quartered weapon. So this is a very good rushing weapon. It's quite fast. Not quite fast, it's extremely fast. It's probably the fastest thing that you can get without a rotor in this game. And with the MG3's rate of fire, could definitely suppress stuff quite easily. So you've got the VAB. This is the sort of French version. It's got the Browning, so it's got a bit better range, but it's slower. but it has a better operational range. So in this, you're going for range, both operational and firing. But this one's faster. Then you've got the sort of tank destroyer version of the VAB with the Hot 1, similar to the one that you find in the Jaguar one. This is actually quite good. It's 40, so it's quite expensive, but it's very fast. Great operational range. This is probably what I'd use as a sort of flanking unit. You know, you drive this with a few of those ERC Saigon recon units. Drive it around the back of the enemy and fire some ATGMs up their ass. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good ATGM. It costs 40 though, so it might be a bit too expensive for that kind of risky maneuvering. And then finally the Weasel 1, it's got the autocannon, quite fast actually. So this is a good sort of helicopter hunter vehicle. And then 35, you get the ITO version. Actually no, it's the 1 TOW, but it doesn't have the ITO. That's quite confusing, but basically it's the TOW mounted on something quite fast. Yeah, I'd probably go for that as well, because the TOW in itself is quite a good ATGM. You don't necessarily have to go to the ITO unless you're dealing with something really tough. So yeah, NATO is a good range of support vehicles, definitely a lot better than what Warsaw Pact has. Puts it at a tiny bit of advantage in this version of the game, but yep, so let's go on to the helicopters. First off, the Cobra. This is quite a fun helicopter that I use a lot. So for the basic version, don't try and use it against tanks. It's got the Gatling gun, which makes it a good anti-helicopter helicopter. The 40 means it's fairly cheap, and the Gatling gun can easily take on hounds. It's also got 2 sets of rocket pods, the Fraffer and the Hydra rockets. They're pretty much the same, except the Hydra is better in terms of accuracy, and it has a lot more rockets. But yeah, this is good for clearing up light units and suppressing tanks. It won't actually do that much damage to tanks. At 315, it's quite a fast helicopter. It can't fly that far without running out of fuel. Give it a bit of an upgrade. It ditches the regular rockets for the tow missile. Turns into a good attack helicopter, but you're paying 30 extra for that. Stabilizer, that's a decent stabilizer, so it's a more of an on-the-move helicopter, but again, the ATGM probably can't be fired on the move, possibly, I'm not sure with helicopters. Disadvantage though is it loses that minigun to a Vulcan Gatling gun, which is a lot worse. It has some AP power, but overall the Vulcan is isn't a good anti-helicopter weapon. Then upgrade to the Cobra, I'm guessing for the ITO missiles, so yep. That's it. So you pay an extra 30 for some ITO missiles. Then you've got the Apache. Now this is basically almost as good as helicopters can get. You've got the amazing Hellfire missiles that are very accurate, do a lot of damage, and have as much range as you could ask for. Disadvantage though is they only have 8, whereas the Pact have 16 missiles. However, Hellfires are fire and forget. A debate. You've got the Hydra rockets, which are a good rocket pod, and you've got the autocannon, which is, I don't know, it's okay. I wouldn't really use it that much, but it can fend for itself against other helicopters, especially as it has the full 10 armor, unlike the Cobra, which only has 5. So the Cobra's delicate, the Apache's quite tough. Also, it's slightly faster, and it has better optics, although with helicopters you generally need recon if you're going to be fielding them. Then we've got this a German ATGM helicopter. It's got those Hot 1 missiles, very nice, quite fast as well. And then if you upgrade, you get the Hot 2, which do a lot of damage actually. Look at 15, so pretty much this is a ATGM platform. All it can do is fire ATGMs, but it fires them quite well. This is probably the cheapest ATGM you can get on a helicopter. Then you've got the Chinook. It's a transport helicopter, obviously, for infantry. I don't know, I wouldn't really use transport helicopters unless they have some kind of weapons on them as well, dual function. But it's fairly fast, and it can go to pretty much any point on the map, and then again, and then back again several times. Now I would use this. Let's see, the Dornier 205, same kind of idea. It looks like a key, probably is a key German ripoff. 20, so it's quite cheap. So if I, if there's a really high quality infantry unit that had, high veterancy and I wanted to save it, I'd probably use this for it. It's fairly fast. Can't go as far though as the Canuck. Right, so then we've got the Gazelle cannons. Now these are quite interesting helicopters because they're Gazelles. They're incredibly fast, so they can get to places as soon as you need them, basically. Now the thing is, these helicopters are, I think, the cheapest helicopter you can really get with some kind of weapon on it. However, it's a rubbish weapon. It's just an autocannon. Basically, this kind of helicopter is good for sort of spamming and taking out packed stuff that doesn't have any AA weapons whatsoever. Quite a few of them do. But overall, this can die quite easily. Upgrade them, you get the Hot 1 missiles. So basically, it's the same as sort of the East German stuff, but you're paying. Actually, you're paying less. Like you pay 10. You're paying 10 less, and it's significantly faster. And it's got a better range as well. I guess there's probably a disadvantage, like these are slightly weaker than these ATGM helicopters, or maybe you can only field a few of them, I don't know. But the Gazelles probably walk all over these German helicopters. I guess you're paying a bit more for the ability to unlock the better ATGMs, but I probably would just go for the Gazelles. There's a good hit and run helicopter. Then we've got the Lynx transport helicopters, pretty much the same as the Dornier, but a bit faster, but you pay a bit more. And then you get another Lynx with some rocket pods. It's fast, and the rocket pods will do a bit of damage, but again, probably wouldn't use it. Then we've got the Lynx ATGM TOW helicopters. We got the TOW and I guess the ITOW. Nope, the TOW 2, which is pretty much the same as the ITOW by the looks of it. Maybe it's a spelling mistake by Eugen, but maybe not. 75 and 60, quite expensive for ATGM helicopters. I'd probably go for the cheaper ones just because these guys can die quite easily. Although they do go 350, so that's quite fast. So yeah, these are probably another counterpart to these helicopters. You pay more, but you go faster. Although again, the Gazelles seem to have a good advantage over them. I guess the advantage, that's what it is. Dedicated ATGM helicopter. These ATGM helicopters have more ammo than these ones. These only have 4 missiles in them, so they can't do as much. Alright, there you go. Then we got some anti-aircraft helicopters from America. They're not very fast by helicopter standards, and they've got a very good stabilizer, so they can fire while flying around quite easily. And they've got, all they have is the Stinger. Its range isn't that good, but then again, when you're dealing with helicopters, their range is awful. Because if you look at, say, the Apache, its range is 1500. These guys, I know they wouldn't be firing an Apache that often, but the range is good for helicopter and helicopter combat. Accuracy is quite good, so these would be a good helicopter that you want to sort of deal with packed, but you can't send in your other helicopters because they might have Tunguskas or something. So it's it's a decent enough AA helicopter, but at 45 it's probably a bit too expensive for such a specialized unit. Then we got the Puma transport helicopters, and then another version of the Pumas that goes a bit faster for an extra 5. Again, I wouldn't probably use these. Although 25 for 325, it's a good sort of emergency recovery unit, I guess. Then we got some more gunships, the Hog. These are rocket pod only helicopters, so 25 for some basic rocket pods, and they're very slow for helicopters, like 175. Then you've got the Heavy Hog, which has a grenade launcher with a smiley face on it. Nice touch. For an extra 5. And then for another 5 on top of that, you get the Gatling minigun and some rocket pods. That's actually not a bad helicopter there, because it's got the Gatling gun for helicopter and helicopter combat, which is even more cost effective than the Cobra. That's actually quite a good deal, because there's only a 5-point difference in them, but the Cobras have the Hydras, I guess. That's what puts them apart. So yeah, I wouldn't use this gunship at all. And then the US transport helicopters, they've got the Huey, the faster Huey, and then the Black Hawk, which is very fast. 30 for a 350 km/h helicopters, that's quite good. But overall, as again, if you're looking for transport helicopters, you're spoiled for choice with NATO, but I'm generally not. Okay, I think that'll do it for this episode. Next episode, we'll be looking at NATO tanks and NATO infantry. Until then, goodbye.